Oh, hello. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Dringle, and I'm here to talk to you about thesis statements. So, there are four really important things that you need to know about thesis statements. The first thing is that thesis statements they take a stance. And what I mean by that is that you're already researching about a topic, just like Mr. Garton's researching about freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a topic, but it's not a stance. In order to take a stance, you have to say something about that topic. So, if I said freedom of speech is important, that would be a topic. Think about asking yourself a question. Is freedom of speech important? Is it necessary? The answer to that question is likely going to be a stance. Now, there's a second thing about thesis statements are arguable. So it's one thing to say that freedom of speech is important, but everybody probably agrees with that, or else they're un American. Now, to take a stance like freedom of speech is the most important right of Americans might ruffle some feathers. There could be people on the other side of that argument that would have facts they could put against you. That's okay. That just means that your thesis statement is arguable because there's another side to it. Now, the third thing about thesis statements, and this is a big one because the first two things are things that you probably all already know from elementary school and middle school. But what makes a high school thesis statement is that it is specific. Thesis statements are specific, so you should tie them to something relevant. Think about things that have happened recently, like the Capitol riots or the Black Lives Matter protests from last summer. If you can tie your topic to one of those, then that will make it very specific. So in this case, Mr. Garten has tied social media companies to the idea of freedom of speech, saying that they should not be limiting speech in response to the Capitol riots. Now, notice the use of the word should here. If you're using the word should in your thesis statement, you're on the right track because that shows that you are taking a stance and it's a very specific stance. Now, there's a fourth thing that you need to know about thesis statements. Your thesis statements are adaptable. That means that whatever thesis statement you write today may not be the same thesis statement that you're putting in your final research paper. And that's okay, because as you research, you're going to gather more facts and more evidence. And as you do that, your claim might change a little bit. Again, that's okay. What is important is that you start with something. So let's review. Thesis statements are four things. They take a stance, they're arguable, they're specific, and they are adaptable. So, keeping those four things in mind, why don't you go out and make your own thesis statement based on your research topic?